everyone, my name is Grace Medley and my co-host is Mary Poriam, and we will be taking you on the Louisville Suffrage Tour. Louisville has a rich history of suffrage, but it's often overlooked. Today, we will be taking you to some of the most important suffrage sites in Louisville. Let's begin! Our first stop is the Masonic Temple. Now called the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite Temple, this building once housed famed abolitionist and women's rights activist Lucy Stone as she gave her 1853 speech. Stone was in Louisville for a total of 4 days. During these 4 days, her speech and lectures were highly advertised by reporter George Prentice. She earned a total of $600 while in the city, a high earning for her time. Her speech in Louisville was one of many stops in her lecture tour throughout the U.S. and Canada. Stone started this tour 2 years after she attended the Seneca Falls Convention. She organized the Women's Rights Convention in Worcester, Massachusetts. The convention acted as a sort of launch for her tour and activism career. The tour spanned over the course of 5 years. During these 5 years, Stone attended and presided over many conventions. Along the way, she met Henry Blackwell, the brother of Elizabeth Blackwell. The two eventually married and had a daughter named Alice Stone Blackwell. The family continued to be outspoken activists for women's rights before and after the Civil War. Now it's time to head to the next location, which is the Old Opera House, currently the Kaufman-Strauss Building, located at 400 South 4th Street. See you there! As you walk to your next location, feel free to pause the podcast so that when you get to the location, you'll get to hear all about the place as you're there. You've arrived at our next stop, the Old Opera House at 400 South 4th Street. This place, once known as the Public Library of Kentucky, housed the meeting of the American Women's Suffrage Association, also known as the AWSA, in 1881. This meeting marked the first of its kind in Kentucky. The AWSA meeting stirred something in the people, and thus the Kentucky Women's Suffrage Association, also known as KWSA, was born. The KWSA was one of the first suffrage associations in the South. Due to this, it ultimately failed. Although no longer together, the KWSA still technically existed until 1888. After the official disbanding of KWSA, the Kentucky Equal Rights Association, also known as KERA, was created. KERA was the first organization of its kind in Kentucky. Its members tirelessly advocated for suffrage through 1920. Because women gained the vote in 1920, they then changed their organization's name to the Kentucky League of Women Voters, which is still active today. Our next stop will be the Seelbach Hotel, located at 500 South 4th Street. See you there! Here's our next stop, the Seelbach Hotel, located at 500 South 4th Street. The Seelbach Hotel is regarded as a historic hotel. Many famous people have come to visit, such as Presidents Taft, Wilson, Roosevelt, Truman, Kennedy, Johnson, Carter, Clinton, and Bush. What many people don't know is that the Seelbach hosted not one, but 2 conventions for the KERA. These conventions took place in 1911 and 1919, respectively. A subsection of the KERA, called the College Equal Rights Association, ran the meetings. The Seelbach even affected the suffrage movement on a national level, as it hosted the annual meeting of the NAWSA, the National American Women's Suffrage Association, in 1911. The next location will be the Armory Building at 525 West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. See you soon! You've reached the next stop at the Armory Building, located at 525 West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. By 1910, Ida B. Wells was a well-established activist. She was an African-American leader of the Civil Rights Movement. Wells took on a pioneering role for equality through education and journalism. She was even one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP. She soon found the NAACP restricting and moved on to the National Association of Colored Women. this brings us back to the year 1910. That was the year that Louisville hosted the National Convention of the National Association of Colored Women, which took place in the building before you. Ida B. Wells was in this very building, which is a testament to Louisville's rich suffrage history. The next location will be located at 844 South 4th Street. I'll let Mary take it from here.
Miss Augustus Scatcher's home, 844 South 4th Street. In 1913, the KEA, Kentucky Educational Association, had denied suffragists a table at the meeting they were holding. The KEA did not fully support women's suffrage. The Lexington Leader, a newspaper, claimed that the reason KEA didn't want suffrage is because if suffrage was gained, then they will have to have equal pay for female teachers and raise their wages. In retaliation, the suffragists were tested for women's suffrage in the front yard of Miss Augustus Scatcher's home during the KEA convention. KIRA, Kentucky Equal Rights Association, set up an exhibit in the front yard close by. Susan Avery Look's home, 847 South 4th Street. Susan Avery Look was a writer, suffragist, pacifist, and supporter of temperance. Look hosted Lucy Stone, a well-known suffragette, and her husband Henry Blackwell in her home in 1881. Susan Avery Look is also an important co-founding member of the Louisville Equal Rights Association, which started in 1889. The organization consisted of men and women who supported the cause of women's rights to vote. A year later, she founded the Louisville Women's Club, which is still active today. Susan Look was a key and underappreciated leader who helped with achieving women's suffrage. The First Unitarian Church, 800 South 4th Street. The First Unitarian Church hosted Susan B. Anthony and Carrie Chapman Catt during their tour through the South to promote women's suffrage in January of 1895. Laura Clay, a Kentucky suffragist, organized for Anthony and Catt to speak at the Unitarian Church. Laura Clay also outlined a 2-day missionary through all of Kentucky, starting in Lexington. It was known as the Kentucky Tour of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. This tour went through 16 cities, including Louisville, Owensboro, and Paducah. Louisville Free Public Library, 301 York Street. The Louisville Free Public Library was used as a meeting place for the suffragettes during the fight for women's suffrage. It was an easy, accessible, and most importantly, free location that was used for meetings and public forums. It also helped that the library had many resources for them to use to educate themselves and others on suffrage.
And that's the end of the tour. We hope you learned about Louisville's history of suffrage. We are surrounded by pieces of history which we can always use to draw inspiration from the strong women who came before us so that we can be strong women for those after us.